Hey, how's it going? Today we're gonna play a bit of Arceus Goodra. Israel Sosa made day 2 with this list at Orlando, and I think Goodra V-Star is one of the coolest V-Stars that we have, so I figured I'd play a few games with it. I'll go over the deck list like halfway through the video and also show another option with alolan vulpix in it to help with Charizard and just to have a shred attacker as well in the matchup. Alright, first game here playing against Gardevoir, not the greatest start. As with any Arceus deck, you really just want to attach an energy to Arceus turn 1, but so I decided to panic Judge, and luckily it worked out because our opponent doesn't seem to have much, which is good because we didn't even get a double turbo to Trinity Charge. So I just evolve up, get down a Bidoof, and pass. Based on their last turn, I highly doubt that they'll be able to get enough energy in the discard to knock out my Arceus, so I feel pretty comfortable leaving it in the active spot. Once I see that go down, like really hoping they can't put it in the active, because I'm probably going to need to use my V-Star ability next turn. We top deck Hero's Cape. I don't want to put that in play yet, and I don't want to Iono them, so I just Skwovet and use Bibarel. I draw into DTE. I decide to Starbirth first. You want to do that before you play the cards out of your hand so they don't know what you got with Starbirth. So I'm going to end up grabbing Double Boss here, and then I'll attach DTE and probably play a Stadium and play Boss, so they're going to assume that the Double Turbo is one of the cards that I got off of my my V-Star power, but I have another Boss in my hand to use next turn to bring up their second Kirlia. So I'm really hoping to just that they don't set up, because this matchup is pretty bad if they're ever able to set up. We get Turo out of the prizes, which is fine. Makes it so they can't stall us, which they actually go for. Good thing we got the Turo. And they finally hit a supporter. That sucks. We had what we wanted in our hand. At least we hit a DT and a boss. I was kind of lucky to draw one of our other bosses off of the Iono, so we can stick with our plan of knocking out the Kirlias. I'm just making sure that I'm not knocking out the one with memory skip, because I don't want to give them access to memory skip at all. And if they had already evolved it, I want to leave that. I want to just leave that one in play and not let them start memory skipping me. Alright, so we draw. One thing I noticed with this deck is you go through your energy pretty quick. Like, I prized a water, sure, but I don't know. I like the 4 water, 4 metal, but I think Israel was worried about Roaring Moon gaining popularity, so he added Double Mist and a Super out instead, so you are able to just set up 2 Goodra V-Stars if you need to. I don't know if that's necessarily the best plan, but you can do it. And that's kind of what I'm going for in this game. But they bench Mimikyu, and that is a terrifying sight, because this deck kind of folds to Mimikyu. That's one of the reasons I was thinking that the Vulpix could be good, because you only need to find 1 or 2 more spots for it, because you take out the Devo, because Vulpix should make your Zard matchup better, and you have to add another water energy, so it's 3 spots, and Devo's one of them, and Spiritomb's another one. That is also, that doubles up for Zard and for Stall, but you can remove that if you're not very worried about Stall, and that's the room for your Vulpix. Since I got Double Boss, I brought up the Gardevoir EX, because that should just limit them. If I'm able to knock that out, and it's the same, bossing that twice is the same as just bossing 2 single prizers. So I bring that up and hit into it. And they're unfortunately able to get energy in the discard pile so they can retreat. I was kind of hoping they wouldn't be able to do this since they had no energy in the discard at the start of their turn. But they do, and they go back in with the Mimikyu. and now I'm kinda forced to start attaching to Bibarel because I need to knock this Mimikyu out. I only have one boss left after this, so I need to be able to attack with Bibarel at least once, but maybe twice. And at this point, I'm also looking for the Hero's Cape. I just checked that real quick to make sure I'm not missing out on any attack. I'm debating the water energy because I really want energy to attach to Bibarel, but another option that I could do is just use Goodra V's first attack, Slip and Trip, a bunch of times and hope that eventually they can't retreat the Pokemon one turn. And then that would also let me win the game. And now I'm reading the Spiritomb's attack. I could use that 3 times, and I was thinking I could use it 3 times and promote the Goodra with the Mist Energy so they couldn't damage it, but I don't have that many ways to switch back and forth out of the active. And I just end up throwing the Eri out at some point. I don't hit anything, but I see that their hand is dead, which is nice information. I'll just Skwovet. Not really looking for anything particular. Well, I was looking for the Hero's Cape, but you just want to keep cycling through the deck until I was trying to get to boss and Hero's Cape, and I managed to find one of them, so that's good. I didn't put it in play right there just in case they have Lost Vacuum. I know they didn't, but they could top deck it, and maybe next turn I can disrupt their hand. They add the Luxurious Cape, which is unfortunate to see, but I know I have my Lost Vacuum in the deck. I just saw it. And we'll flip. I hit heads. That's good to see. So now I basically kind of locked up this game because I can just vacuum away the charm and knock out whatever else they bring up, or do boss vacuum or something like that. And they play the Arven. This, I don't know, this would have been very concerning if we hadn't hit that heads, but we did, so that's a relief. Let's see what they do. Most Guardies aren't playing rare candies, so I know that they can't evolve up into Guardy and do any like shenanigans, like all in one turn, like Candy Guardy, and then knock something out with Drifloon. So that's a relief. And I just Nest Ball here just to thin my deck out. I Super Rod, put the Bidoof back in case like something, in case they Turo the Mimikyu and I'm forced to have to attack with another Bibarel. I can switch and knock this guy out with Goodra, because they can't hit the Goodra with Mimikyu because I have the Mist Energy on it. And I forget that I can draw with Bibarel. That was pretty dumb. Yeah, that was, I don't know, a pretty major mistake. That could have, I probably wouldn't have lost the game because of it, but it definitely could have made the game a lot harder than it needed to be, because as you can see, I draw the vacuum, so I would have just won the turn before. I don't know, the Flutter Mane kind of messed me up because I was thinking it was still in the active. And now we're on to the deck list. This is the list that Israel Sosa chose to run. We have the Devo and the Spiritomb for Charizard matchup, and the Spiritomb's also good into Lugia and Stall, which you're probably pretty decent against Stall if you get out the Spiritomb and they can't draw every turn with Rotom, and you can also throw Eries and Judges at them. You're probably pretty well off there. You have the Mist Energies for Tina and Roaring Moon, the Headquarters for any matchup where they're trying to attack with basic Pokemon. Yeah, the deck is pretty good. I think it's really cool because there's also some games like the next one where if you don't have to use Arceus VSTAR ability, you get to heal with Goodra, which is a very, very powerful VSTAR and could just swing games all on its own. You could take, like, you know, they have to 4-shot your Goodra, you're in a pretty good spot. The one matchup I did find to be pretty difficult was the Gholdengo Palkia. They can 2-shot you most often with Palkia, and they just put on a lot of pressure. The matchup is pretty hard. I lost to a couple of those while filming this. And this is kind of the deck list that I was thinking. You have vulpix in it. It helps against Charizard, and it would also help against Gholdengo. And you could also remove the Vulpix line for like maybe a Radiant Gardevoir and a 4th metal. And I also wanted to note that you can use Prime Catcher, Master Ball, Maxim Belt, or Hero's Cape in this deck just fine. All those are pretty good options. Alright, this, I don't know why that just happened. This is probably one of the best matchups for this deck. Any like one prize deck is really good for Goodra because most often they're relying on 2 shots, and with Goodra's damage reduction they end up 3 and 4 shotting you. So it's pretty happy to run into this on the ladder. And we got a good enough start. I have my Ultra Ball so I can get Arc V-Star next turn, or probably Bibarel and hope to get into the V-Star. And we're pretty much got everything we need ready to go. Pretty happy that I didn't start the Arceus V because flip it over to see a Flutter Mane and you can't use the Arceus V-Star power if Arceus is in the active and Flutter Mane's in the active. Now it does hurt getting rid of a water energy, but I figure I checked to see if Super Rod was in there before, and it is in there. Or maybe I just checked now. But I go for Bibarel because I could just get Arceus and like get Switch DTE and start setting up, but I kind of need more than that. That setup could fall apart pretty quick. So I get Bibarel and get Skwovet so I can draw as much as possible and almost guarantee a supporter. I decide not to get anything off this because I really want to make them go through my Arceus and at least one Goodra to win the game. So we'll just research, and we get Switch and DT. We just got we get everything off this. It's pretty cool. So this is like one of the rare moments with a deck like this where you get to save your V-Star power, and with Goodra's V-Star power, that's just so strong to be able to save it. And yeah, I can just attack. I decided to get rid of the Lost Vacuum because the most hit points I can get up to is 200, and Goodra does 200 damage even, so I'll just be able to knock out anything with Goodra even if they have the booster capsule on it. And they get the Sada, so they're pretty much probably going to be able to stream attackers for the most part throughout this game. Now they have it down a 3rd moon. This is really the position you want to get in with the Ancient Box, where you're not forced to play a supporter to attack the next turn. And I get down the Bidoof since I got my other Bibarel off the prizes. We hit the headquarters, which is very, very nice. That's definitely like, we don't need it to win the matchup, but it certainly helps. That puts a lot of pressure on their resources. I'll just Super Rod the energy back in so that I can set up a second Goodra. I can finish setting up the first one and get a second one pretty much ready to go. Just gotta make sure that I do the energy right there. That'd be pretty annoying if I did the energies wrong and they just promote their guy. They need to get, what, 3 more cards, now 2 more ancient cards in the discard pile to knock out our Arceus, which, I don't know, it's going to be kind of hard for them. They didn't have a very big hand last turn. They don't have many cards left in their hand, so let's see if they can do it. They're taking quite a while, so yeah. They just couldn't knock out our Arceus. Now we're pretty glad we got down the second Bidoof. And I can just go ahead and promote the Goodra and start attacking with Rolling Iron. And we can throw down Hero's Cape. They use their Vacuum, which I wouldn't have thought that they played at all. I don't know. I guess he did. I think one of the lists that did good in Orlando also played a Vacuum, but I don't know. It doesn't seem super necessary in the deck. Maybe that makes it so you can beat the Future Hands deck. I'm not sure, but either way, I doubt they play more than one. So we're safe to throw down the Hero's Cape, and now it's going to be really hard for them to knock us out, especially when we still have our V-Star power, so we can pretty much make them hit into us twice and then heal, and then we just win. Or actually, after this turn, I can just heal, and then I'm guaranteed to win the game with just Goodra. So there's pretty much nothing that they can do at this point. All that I'm going to want to do on my turn is find another Bibarel and maybe a second Goodra V-Star. so that we're guaranteed to lock the game out. And they're just really going to do as much damage as they possibly can, getting all the cards out of their deck. They hit us for 120, so they're doing a good amount of damage. We are lucky enough to top deck the Bibarel, and they see that and they just concede. They know that they're not going to be able to cheese us or anything. Yeah, we had that matchup, or that match locked up, and you guys should try this deck. It's pretty cool. Either list will work. The Vulpix version's probably maybe easier into Charizard. They could like counter catcher boss or double counter catcher or prime catcher boss or something like that. So test it out, see how it works, and take care. They promote Mimikyu. They just want to take some sort of prizes, I guess. I can just promote my barrel so I can use his attack again, and we draw the vacuum, and we're able to win that game. Luckily.